So, guys, welcome to T.R.U podcast. My name's Chris Copeland. As always, I'm here with Warren Darragh and William J. Flowers. And this evening, we've got a special guest, Jack Tessier, who is a young man who's making a big splash in the cryptozoological world, particularly on Facebook with his group A.C.R.O. And Jack's here to sort of have a chat with us about a conference that he's hosting, some Thylacine searches, and some other cryptozoological searches that he's been doing in New South Wales. How are you going tonight, mate?
I'm good, how are you?
Yeah, really well.
Hey, good. Yeah, well, you know, the A.C.R.O has been going for, well, just over...
Did you want to just start by giving us a quick bio of yourself, mate? Like, I understand that you're still at school and things like that, so just give us a quick bio. Not too much personal detail, but just, yeah, I'm sure everyone's interested in getting to know you a little bit more.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm from Newcastle, and I've been doing this for about 2 years now, and I got hooked on cryptozoology research from watching a documentary about Yetis. And ever since then, I've been going out to the bush and trying to search for evidence and search for clues to prove to myself, to try and prove to myself and hopefully others out there that mysterious creatures can in fact exist. And there's no question, you know, that these creatures do exist, because a lot of them do. A lot of cryptids do. A lot of them are hoaxed. A lot of them do, but I'm interested in the whole mystery, and ever since I could remember, I've been interested in UFO research as well, mysteries, that kind of thing, you know, UFO mysteries and that. So yeah, I got hooked pretty early on.
So where are you doing the majority of your searching, and what's your main interest in, sort of like cryptozoology? We'll sort of keep it to that. Our podcast is about Thylacine, so we'll keep it to cryptozoology if you don't mind. Not that I've got anything against UFOs, but it'll just take us off in a tangent we don't normally head off on, that's all.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, I mean, most of my research is not involving UFOs, so, you know, it's mainly yowies pretty much. I do most of my research in the Wadigans Mountains and around bushland of Lower Lake Macquarie, of the southwest side, where there is a lot of sightings of big cats and a lot of sightings of yowies even. Yeah, a lot of mysterious sightings around that area. Yeah, and I've even been in the newspaper because of a possible panther print I casted there. Yeah, that I didn't expect to come across it that day, and the newspapers got a hold of it and started contacting me. Went as far as over at the Daily Mail in the UK, and yeah, Newcastle Herald, and people started talking about it quickly. The story got out about the YE panther, which was the suburb I cast as printing. It was a fair bit of bushland there. Yeah.
Judging from your website and your Facebook group that I'm a member of, you've had a fair bit of success in a relatively short period of time. You must spend a reasonable amount of time out in the field there, mate.
Oh, yeah. I do, actually, as much as I possibly can. Yeah, and I'm lucky I get a fair bit of spare time on my hands. So, yeah, a lot of weekends, a fair bit of weekends I'm out there whenever I can, pretty much. I was actually camping in the Barrington Tops, where there's been Thylacine sightings and that kind of thing. I was camping there on Easter. I decided to have a little search, so I went on a solo bushwalking and that kind of thing. Some activity, but not related to Thylacines and that, some like wood knocks that people describe yowies doing and that kind of thing. But yeah, I was up that way, and so basically, whenever I got the opportunity to an area that has a fair bit of sightings, I take the opportunity to investigate when I can, and I even set a trail camera up there. All I got was a bunny rabbit that on the trail camera.
Do we have, Warren, much record of Thylacine from the Barrington Tops? I have a fair bit to do with the Barrington Tops area through my work, Jack, so I know exactly where you're at. They've got a quite large captive devil population up there, and I work with devil research and devil management. How's our database for Thylacine sightings around that area, Warren?
Look, there are a couple of historic sightings in that area. I think the other issue is from the New South Wales area in general. Since the show came out, we've got a bunch more sightings from New South Wales. As people are watching the show, they're starting to recall issues. In fact, a couple in just last week, but I haven't as yet processed them and put them on the database. But there's definitely sightings that have come in that area in the past.
I know that the habitat is relatively similar to parts of Tasmania, which is part of the reason why they chose the area for the devil program. So, sort of realistically, it ticks one of our H's. We have a triple H sort of protocol that we use, Jack, where it's. I'll let Warren talk about it because it's his baby.
Yeah, so what it basically means is that firstly, the first H is habitat. So is it the kind of habitat that you'd expect to see a thylacine live in? Does it support the right type of prey? So we're talking about lightly wooded areas, perhaps edging on grasslands. Then the next one is history. So is there a good history of sightings in the area? So post-1936 sightings in particular, so post-extinction. And then the last one is the human interaction, and are there bounties that have been taken in that area? So obviously you can't apply that last one to the Barrington Tops. So having said that, there is some information in Dr. Bob's Paddle's book, The Last Tasmanian Tiger, that actually talks about thylacine being recorded in that area even immediately after or post white settlement in that area. So I think the other thing is that there's another book that we all know and love called Carnivorous Nights. And the reason that we love that book so much is because Chris Copeland is actually featured in that book, and as part of that, there's a tour that happens on the waterways in New South Wales where one of the tour guide takes the protagonists in that story to a cave in the New South Wales area there, not far outside of Sydney actually, and shows cave drawings of thylacines. So yeah, so it's quite well known, that area. So
you have to excuse Warren, Jack. He's got a photographic memory and a mind for all these facts and figures, which is why I pass over him all the time. So I looked on your very good website and blog, and if you just wanted to have a quick chat about that, but I'd love you to also bring in the idea that didn't you find a thylacine, or what you believed was a thylacine trackway in that area?
No, that wasn't me. That was actually one of our researchers who... they're down in Gippsland.
Okay, so you've got a team of researchers that you've sort of brought together, and it comes under the acronym A.C.R.O, doesn't it?
Mm.
So just tell us a little bit about your group then, mate.
Well, we've got researchers, from New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria, and South Australia at the moment. So just those 4 states we've got members in. We've got a couple of thylacine researchers, and when we first started off, it took us a while before we got any thylacine researchers, if anybody that's actually been out in the field looking for thylacines. So now that we do, we get some information on thylacines now, and before that was mainly just yowies and big cats, but now we're getting more information on thylacines as well. We've got allies also overseas doing a fair bit of research for us over in parts of like New Zealand and Indonesia even. A skunk ape researcher there from Indonesia. So yeah, we're getting around pretty much, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. How many members in your group, mate? Sounds like you've got a fairly wide network already.
Well, in Australia we've got 9. We haven't. There's a lot of research organisations related to Bigfoot and that sort of stuff that have scientists. We don't have any scientists. Not yet anyway. But we have. There's actually a woman that lives near me, and she's just joined the A.C.R.O. She has good skills. She's a she works with animals, wildlife, and that. So yeah, she's helped us a fair bit. She's a skeptic in the Yowie. She believes in big cats and thylacines, and that's where her interest is: big cats and thylacines. And she's a pretty nice woman. We're actually organising an expedition out sometime this year into YA Panther, where I casted that possible print if we find anything. And she's come up with some good ideas, as into searching for the panther, because she's worked with those kind of animals before. So I think that her skills come in very well for what we're trying to achieve at the A.C.R.O. I
think Bill and I can attest to the fact that nothing sort of really beats sort of experience with semi-related species. Both Bill and I have significant experience with Tasmanian devils and quolls, don't we, Bill?
Absolutely.
So,
can I just throw in a few questions here?
Yeah, mate, absolutely.
Yeah. With the big cat stuff, there's sightings. You've got a paw print, is that right?
Yeah, possible paw print, yep, from panther.
And so it's a big cat, hasn't got claws on it, it's just got...
No, it hasn't got claws on it.
Okay, right.
From what I know...
just because this is a podcast, Jack, just describe your print for us. Just give us a mental picture of what the print size is and what it looks like for us, if you can.
It's a fairly big size. I can't describe exactly how big it is. I think I've got it. I'm not too sure. I'd have a lot easier if I actually had it in my hand describing it. But yeah, the bottom pad, where the only thing to me that doesn't stand out that's a panther is the bottom pad. It doesn't turn into an upside down love heart like most panther prints. But yet again, I mean, it was in mud. We don't know how much detail it can. The panther had pushed, this creature had pushed into the mud. It could be on the off chance it could be a dog, yes, but
so we're saying that if it was a panther, Jack, it would have retractable claws.
Yeah,
yep.
Most of them do, and this hasn't got a single claw.
No impressions of any other claws.
Yeah, so it looks like retractable claws. So there's a good chance it could be. I don't think it's a domestic cat because it's too big.
Is this the print that's on your Skype avatar that I'm looking at right now?
Is it? Oh yeah, it might be. I'm not too sure what my Skype photo looks like. Yeah, it probably is. That photo actually was taken by David Stewart, local news reporter for the Lakes Mail, who covered the story.
So if you can see that, Bill, Jack's standing there against a green shed, and the print is easily larger than his hand.
Oh yeah, it's a good size. It's a big hobby.
It's it's slightly bigger than a feral cat for sure.
Oh, the woman that lives near me that I was talking about, that is involved with wildlife and that she got excited when she saw about it, and her friends who also work in wildlife also got very excited about it because it's unusual. I've been out a couple of times searching for panther, come across kangaroo skeletons scattered everywhere. Could be something else, But this is, to me, the best evidence I have of a panther. And not only that, but I still need to find someone to test it. But I looked at it a few days later, and I found hair on it.
And you've collected that, no doubt.
Yep.
Yeah.
Collected it and put it in a jar. I haven't touched it at all. I've collected it with tweezers. And, it's
So you'd be looking for a willing participant that would maybe DNA test that for you, no doubt.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I intend on doing. This is where scientists would come in handy, you know. Could just ship it off to them straight away if I knew one off the top of my head. But, it's a good piece of evidence, and it could prove what animal in fact caused it. Could possibly be dog, but judging on it, and from what other people are saying too, it's a good chance it could be panther as well. Probably more likely, but I'm not willing to say it's 100% panther to get to it proven. But I'm still shocked, to this day that I was able to get such good evidence that went across the world talking about it.
So that led me to my question. Sorry, Bill, did you have another one, or can I just jump in here?
I was going to sort of ask if he had heard of, or if any of his group have heard of, like Thylacine marsupial lions.
Yes.
Are there any sightings of that?
Can I just ask my question first there, Bill? Because I don't reckon we'll get back onto it if I don't, because it directly relates to the print.
Yep.
And now I've got a mental block. Sorry. Jeez.
That's alright.
What you need to do, Chris, is open a beverage.
Hang on, righto, yep. I'll take your cue.
So while Chris is opening his beverage there, Jack, so you're saying that you think that this cast is from a panther. How would you think that this panther's actually got into that area to leave that print? So where has it come from?
Well, I mean, this area, it's got a fair bit of bushland, but it's up against a highway. So from the angle it was, and because it'd been raining like the night before, something like that, so there's a fair bit of mud, so it'd have to be fresh. I think it's fresh anyway. There was a lot of dog prints around as well, so people were walking dogs and that. But this print stood out. In fact, I'm looking at some of the dog prints now that definitely look like dog with the claws and everything. But this particular print looked like it was heading off to the bush. But the water had, sunk in those small puddles and that, but mud around it. So there's just one print. And a lot of people started to become skeptical because there was just one print. But that's the thing. It was on the side, and it was heading off to the bush, and there wasn't that much mud to make more than one print.
Receive the print, the substrate's got to be right. So that, when you put it online, Jack, and this was my question, my refreshing evening beverage has refreshed my memory. What was the reaction from your peers? I mean, people can be pretty brutal with their critiques on Facebook and things like that. Like, what was the general consensus about your alleged print when you put it up online, and what was the reaction through the papers and stuff?
Most people believed it and were supportive of it, but when it went to the Daily Mail over in the UK, some of their critics can be very harsh and just be keyboard warriors, even create fake accounts. So that's kind of what happened until there was a fair bit of support on that as well. But there was some nasty comments as well, which is to be expected, I guess. But
seems to be part and parcel of the field, doesn't it, mate?
The thing, though, that happened is that when I went to the Daily Mail, they didn't even interview me. They just put it up. So they didn't get the information I would have supplied them, which would have been that I would have said it may or may not be from a panther, but it looks like it could be from a panther.
Mm-hmm.
It was what I said to Lakes Mail, Newcastle Herald, but they went with a different approach. They were a bit what's the word? Yeah, they were just they couldn't wait any longer pretty much, and before I knew it was out, and then that's when things hit the roof, hit the fan.
So do you think they were intentionally taking the piss, or sort of being a tongue-in-cheek, like this young bloke's found a panther print, or do you think they had a genuine interest in what you'd found?
Well, I think they may have been interested, but I also think that they couldn't wait anymore, and they wanted to give their viewers more content.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually emailed my webmaster for my site and wanted to do an interview, but before we all knew it, it was up.
Yeah.
It was up online. It was up on the Daily Mail. And before I knew it, it was up on all these other paranormal sites and that, but I haven't found one that, any else that really slanders me. But, I'm not one of those researchers that say it's 100% panther, you know what I mean? Or I'm not one of those people that, say I've got 100% proof of panther until it's proven. And that's one thing I'd love to show for these people that are skeptical, and show these people that are, keyboard warriors pretty much. I want to show them, I want to prove the existence of the panther, and then I could be taken more serious in my research to these people.
So,
yeah.
Bill wants to ask you about Thylacine, and I want to ask you about where you think your sort of research is going to head. So take your pick there. I'd answer both if you like. Thylacine would be a good
try and
question.
answer both. First, I answer the Thylacoleo carnifex one. With the Thylacoleo carnifex, my group haven't got any reports of them, but as far as it goes for the marsupial lion, I was down in the Blue Mountains and I was camping for a night, doing a bit of research. That was in February, actually. Was it February 21st I discovered the print? Yeah, it was dry, wet, fog morning. It was cold. Wasn't raining, but it was fairly damp. And the sand was wet sand, and there was all these little dog tracks, but then there was this there was this print. It was fairly big. I actually emailed Gary Opit.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly, he says it kind of resembles, or I might have this wrong, I'm not too sure. It's up on my blog, exactly what he said.
And a free plug, what's your blog?
A.C.R.O. Cryptozoology Research. I think you can find it there. Yeah.
So you print your response from Gary Opit's up on your site?
He says it kind of resembles a Thylacoleo carnifex, which surprised me completely. I was hearing from Rex Gilroy, and both those guys are going to be attending my conference, so speakers. They're both the speakers for the conference. So he was telling me about another legend, the Murray legend from the Blue Mountains, which is like the Barrenjaw for the Blue Mountains, pretty much. And Rex told me he wants to... he took photos of my print, and then he wants to publish those photos and the story behind the print in his upcoming book about those Murray legends and that. So it's an interesting find.
Absolutely. You made mention there of a conference. Just tell us a little bit about that. I know you're trying to sort of get together a group of like-minded people from the community to sort of host a conference. Just tell our listeners and tell Want to
yeah.
tell a little bit about that if you can?
Well, I mean, we are looking at having it at the Greater Arts and Sports Community Hall. That's pretty much where we're going to hold it. It's almost confirmed.
We have one international listener. His name is Scano. Can you just tell him what state Greeters
I
in?
thought he was our only listener.
He is our only listener, but he's international as well, so it sounds better when I put it that way, Bill.
Ah, good.
Just tell us where Greater is, mate, Can? Yeah.
Greater New South Wales. It's in the lower part of the Hunter Valley, just outside of Maitland.
Yep.
A bit up north from Newcastle.
And is that area famous for any sort of cryptozoological things, or it's just an area that you managed to sort of pick that was in the middle of location for everyone?
It's pretty much an area that I found was best and fairly cheap as well. It's a good little hall, actually. I've been inside it. About 100 people, or 100 to 150 people, we're looking at having there. Yeah.
Do you have a name for the event as of yet?
The A.C.R.O. Australian Cryptozoology Conference 2016.
And when do you reckon it's going to go ahead?
About August. We're looking at August, September, something like that.
So I'm guessing if people jumped on your blog or site, they'd be able to find a little bit more information about that as you put it up.
Yeah. The speakers are Gary Opit and Rex Gilmore, who are good friends of mine, they've been around for a long time, researching and added a lot of contribution to the field of cryptozoology in Australia.
Gary Opit's pretty well known for his Thylacine work, isn't he, Warren?
Absolutely. He has been a long-term broadcaster on ABC radio in regional northern New South Wales. On his website, he's got 64 New South Wales-based Thylacine reports.
So he's sort of pretty well-versed in the field, you'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. He's also the only person that I know of that has an alleged Thylacine sighting in northwest New South Wales, and also a Yowie sighting as well. He was on Finding Bigfoot Australian edition as well, from memory.
He was.
Yeah, his speech will be on citizen science and cryptozoology. So, I'm looking forward to seeing him there, and Rex's speech will be on the Yowie mystery solved at last, which...
That's a big claim. He's obviously got some fairly interesting evidence then to support that speech.
Yeah, well, Heather Gilroy has told me that it's arguably his best speech yet. I can't wait to hear it. I'm really excited to hear it, and a lot of other people are. People are even asking me to record it if they can't, attend the event. They want me to film it so then they can see what he has to say. But
you could potentially have a Google Hangout there, mate, and put it up live on YouTube and have people interact in real time there.
Oh, yeah. People that can't attend the event. But, I mean, I'd love to see everybody there, and it's going to be a good interaction, for people that have been talking online about cryptozoology and that finally get to meet up with each other, that kind of thing. There's going to be a lot of people that know each other as well from being out in the field with each other. I'm looking forward to it, and I thought about putting it up because there's no other conference.
The closest we'd get would be Paracon, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Paracon. I was actually thinking of going this year, Paracon.
When is that? Is your conference before or after Paracon?
It's after.
After? Yeah.
I was thinking about going, but, I mean, they don't have as much on cryptozoology as I'd be interested in hearing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, instead I chose to go down there February to meet Rex, go down to the Blue Mountains, and I had a great time there. Rex's speech, though, I mean, that's pretty controversial.
Absolutely. I'd be interested in listening to that speech. What about you, lads?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going if I had the time off.
Well, yeah, I mean, once we got everything set in stone, tickets will be on sale, which we're looking at sponsor at the moment and that kind of thing. So we're still setting it up. Rex, Gilmore, and Gary Opit have both agreed to be there. There are other researchers that tried to get to attend the event, but they'll be busy around that time. So yeah, and then next year might be bigger. You know, we're going to probably step it up every year. And
Absolutely, mate. There's probably a real gap. Like, the only sort of real conference in the community I can think of is Paracon, but as you said, it's more paranormal related to my understanding than it is cryptozoological. So, I mean, you might have found yourself a real niche there, and you could build it into something like really, the ability to sort of interact with sort of Lauren Coleman's of the world and some of the real eminent cryptozoologists, and bring them across from America and maybe go to America and see how they're run to build your... We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be like the second ever cryptozoology-based conference in Australia. And America are always having Bigfoot conferences and cryptozoology conferences, which I think is a bit unfair when we don't have, you know, any ongoing annual conferences.
No.
The only other one that has happened was in 2001 from Mike Williams and Rebecca Lang, the what's it called? Myths and Monsters, was it? That was the name, I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
Myths and Monsters conference, and even Gary attended that. That's the only other one.
I don't want to give too much away, but we're currently having a little bit of a chat to Mike, so he might be appearing on the show a little bit down the track. So,
oh, really?
We'll be interested in talking to him in the near future, hopefully, if we can bring it all together. So because we are primarily a Thylacine sort of based sort of organisation on podcast, Jack, what's your opinion of Thylacine on the mainland?
Well, I think it's very possible. I did watch an interview from some Thylacine researcher, I forget his name, but it was on the Today Show where he was talking about how
Michael Moss, wouldn't it, Warren?
Yeah, well, if it was on the Today Show, it could have been either Michael Moss or Murray McAllister. I think they've both been on Today Show, and both are fairly active in the Victoria area in the alleged Thylacine hotspots down there.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I'm just adding some extra detail there. Sorry, continue, Jack.
Yeah, and they were talking about, you know, how the whole Thylacine, how Thylacines came onto the mainland in the first place, which was interesting, and it was through Gippsland. So that if that's true, then could be a lot of activity down in Gippsland, and we've got a researcher down there researching now, and she's done a fair bit Thylacine research, and yeah, we're lucky to have researchers like her on the team, and representing Thylacines as
there's a lot of sort of, I mean, there's big panther sightings down that way too. I was going through Hall's Gap probably 12 months ago now, and there's a cafe that was almost denoted to ABCs in the area. Sorry, alien big cats in the area. So I'm not surprised that there's lots of Thylacine reports in there as well.
Yeah. I mean, areas like Gippsland, Barrington Tops, when you think about it, I've never been down to Gippsland. I've been past it. But now I think about it, those kind of areas, I think, from what I know of Gippsland, from what I've seen of Barrington Tops being there myself, perfect areas for Thylacines, you know, to hide in. I don't know what Thylacines eat. I would imagine, I'll just take a wild guess, like rabbits or something. I don't know what to look out for with Thylacines, but I mean...
Did you want to talk about the prey of Thylacine that we believe in Tasmania?
I think it's tourists. And small marsupials.
Nice one. Now I've lost my train of thought again.
Uh,
It's
I think
a-
we're talking about wallabies and possums, aren't we? And maybe small wombats.
yeah, we'd be looking at sort of small to medium range mammals, wouldn't we, Warren?
Possibly
well,
even devils.
Yeah.
there's actually a fair bit of wombats down, and even echidnas up in the Barrington Tops. We found a lot of burrows for wombats and that kind of stuff. Yeah, so it wouldn't surprise me. I believe Barrington Tops is a prime area for thylacine activity, and when I go back there, which could be in winter, I hope to do some more investigating with it. I did come across, however, like a lot of people describe woodnocks for yowies. I did hear a fair bit of them on my solo bushwalk. Yeah, so I did enjoy my time there. Didn't find any activity of thylacines though, but next time I go, I'll be having an extra look at thylacines, at possible thylacine activity there.
So, in your opinion, Jack, what's your opinion about their continued existence in Tasmania?
I think that well, there is a lot more sightings there than there is in the mainland. I believe that they could be there, but when you think about it, the Tasmanian devil is dying out, and from what I hear, a lot of other creatures down in Tasmania as well. So I think, to an extent, the thylacine could go extinct in Tasmania. They could be going extinct in Tasmania. We don't know that for sure yet. There could be some with the same, tumours as devils have, Tasmanian devils. So, yeah, I believe, though, if they're on the mainland, they probably have a more chance of still, being around.
Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, we call this our skeptometer. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 0 being no chance and 10 being bloody hell, there's a thylacine as the usual sort of scale. Where would you sit for thylacine on the mainland, Jack? Particularly around the Barrington Tops that you've experienced.
Well, I haven't had any experiences, but I'm going to probably have to pick 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm. So you're looking at 70 to 80% sure that those animals are still out there. Does that sound right?
Yeah, mainly on the mainland, yeah.
Yep.
I believe the mainland, would probably have a good chance to have thylacines if what the research was saying is true, and other researchers are saying the same thing. So
Massive continent with very few people. So what on the same scale? 0, no chance. 10, bloody hell, there it is. What would you say Thylacine's chance of continued existence in Tasmania would be?
I'm probably going to have to say 5 on that one.
That's unusual. Normally people go the other way around. They're sort of more conservative with their mainland sort of skeptometer than they are their Tasmanian skeptometer. So you've set a new trend on the podcast this evening.
Yeah. My reason for that is because, when you look at the wildlife down in the Tasmania, from what I hear, I've actually never been to Tasmania. I'll tell you the truth, I've never been down there. I've been as far as Melbourne, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that I think that Tasmania, with a lot of species of even quoll down there going extinct, I think Tasmanian tigers could be going extinct as well. I think that, when you think about it as well, they were being shot out.
They had a lot of pressure on them through that bounty that the mainland population, sort of, if it is present, wouldn't have had. So it's just an interesting one. We normally ask this question of a lot of people we talk to, and it's normally the other way around. People are sort of more inclined to think that they continue to exist in Tasmania and less inclined to sort of think of their continued existence on the mainland.
Well, when you think about it, they were being shot out in Tasmania, and with the continuing dying, species dying out there as well. But when it comes to the mainland, and I do believe the stories as well where people were bringing Tasmanian tigers over the mainland to protect them, I believe that there may actually be more sightings on the mainland than there is in Tasmania.
Just hang on a second there. I just need to bring in our human encyclopedia. Warren, just give us a 3-paragraph rundown on the TPS.
So the Thylacine Preservation Society, so there's a theory that there was a group of people that were interested in the conservation of thylacine as a species, so they went out and they captured a small number, some estimate to be about 12, and then at some stage they were thrown on a boat, sailed across the Bass Strait, as Bill does quite frequently, crosses Davy Jones's locker, and that they were released somewhere in the vicinity of Wilson's Promontory, and it's actually the descendants of those particular animals that people are seeing today. So that's the theory. The theory is, I guess, somewhat supported by the fact that a number of animals were brought from Tasmania and introduced into southern Victoria, and there are good records of those animals, and unfortunately the records do not list thylacine as one of the species that were brought in. However, supporters of the TPS would say
been one of the strongest advocates, correct?
Yes, correct. Would say that the reason for that is because of the innate hatred for the thylacine, and we're still very agricultural in the early 20th century in Victoria, so there would have been uproar by farmers, which is probably true. As you know, it was one of the questions that I asked Dr. Paddle about thylacines being potentially introduced, and he somewhat scoffed at the idea because he said that there were extremely good records that were kept about animals, and in particular thylacines and their movements. So I think the other thing that we've discussed in the past about the whole TPS theory is that it would be interesting to note that the sizes of animals that people are seeing, because you would expect that an animal that was a native or remnant population from the mainland would be somewhat smaller than those that you would experience from Tasmania.
So, the size of any sightings that come your way, Jack, is fairly important. If memory serves me correctly, if it's sort of adult male fox size, it's probably indicative of a remnant population from the mainland, Warren. And if it's sort of 28 odd kilo plus medium dog size, we're talking population via TPS, aren't we, Warren?
Yeah, absolutely, and there's certainly fossil evidence to support what's generally referred to as Bergmann's rule. So the further away you get from the equator, the larger
which
an example
can also be referred to as a clonal variance or a clonal variation.
Yeah.
The further south you go, the bigger animals get to deal with the change in sort of temperature and environment, correct?
Yeah, correct. And look, one of the classic examples of that everybody who goes to Tasmania will see is the brush-tailed possum.
Yeah.
On the mainland, they're the size of a small cat, and in Tasmania they're the size of a large lion, right? So
they're Tasmanian devil, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, let's not go into Bill's misidentification there.
I'm starting to run dry on my second beverage, which tends to indicate that we're getting fairly close to time. So we'll pass the last word to Mr. Jack Tessier, our guest tonight. Where do you want to take your cryptozoological research beyond this conference that you're hosting?
Well, honestly, what I'd love to do is go over to other countries and explore their mysteries there with the cryptozoology. One mystery in particular that I'm quite baffled with is the Solomon Island giants. A lot of people indicate that they, from what I've heard, could be some Sasquatch-like creatures in Solomon Islands.
Good.
Yeah, that interests me, as well as the moa. Could the moa still be alive in New Zealand? Those kind of mysteries as well. They interest me.
Good friend of ours has spent a lot of his life in the Solomon Islands. He'd be certainly a good bloke to get to know, Jack. We could pass on some info at a later date.
Oh yeah. Yeah, one person's research I'm quite interested in Solomon Islands is Marius Boyrayan.
Just fill our listener Scano in on that research. I'm not familiar with it myself, sorry. So just tell myself and the listeners that research if you can.
Marius Boyrayan is the author of the Solomon Island Mysteries. He does. He's actually the only researcher I know from there that he's got mostly experience with the Solomon Island Mysteries. I think I've read something like Black Panthers even being there or something like that. Different Solomon Island giants, UFOs, all that kind of thing. He does a lot of his research there. He does all of his research there, really. But, he's an interesting fellow. He's an interesting fellow.
So you're interested in sort of continuing your blogging or venturing into sort of radio podcasting or book writing, or what does the future hold for Jack?
Well, what I'm working on at the moment is, I'm interested in still in the blog and my website and that, and writing stories, articles, that kind of thing. What I'm interested in, podcasts and even book. I'm working on a book titled Us and Them Rare Encounters with Real Life Phenomenons. There's some bits in there about my research, but a lot of it's about encounters I've received, and it's about our interactions with rare phenomenons, which is what of it's about.
We look forward to that publication. Do you have any idea when that might be finished?
No, I don't yet.
So a work in progress. That's all right, mate. Didn't mean to put you on the spot at all.
That's right.
Just interested in what the future holds for someone who's made quite a big splash in a relatively short time frame. But we're at the 50-minute mark, so we should probably wrap it up there. But do you have any final thoughts, Warren?
Yeah, look, I think you've got a good range of experiences out there, and I think unlike a lot of people, Jack, you're out there in the field trying it on. You're going out there and trying to get as much experience. So all power to you. I think there's a lot of people out there that, as you say, and to use your words, are keyboard warriors. That they go out there and they'll criticise and sometimes play the person rather than the evidence. So it's okay to sit there and say, look, the piece of evidence that you've presented isn't that flash or whatever. Just don't attack the person. So and that's a pity. But it looks like you're keeping your chin up, which is to be commended. So well done, man.
Thank you.
William?
Yeah, same as Warren. I think it's good. And the other thing is, the weekends you don't find anything, at least you've had a good time camping in the bush, eh? Beautiful place.
Yeah. From what I can tell of my research, when I first started researching, I didn't come across that much, but now I'm starting to understand, stuff. So then I'm, starting to see a lot more things and think, wow, a lot of this is, incredible. And not all the times I come across stuff, but I have come across a fair bit since I first started researching. Woodknock responses when it comes to Yowies, that kind of thing. I haven't done much Thylacine research though, but I'm hoping to soon in Singleton, which I don't know how much sightings they get. I've read some sightings there, but that's probably the closest place to me. But yeah, a lot of my research is based on Yowies and big cats, that kind of thing.
Oh.
Okay, Jack, I'm going to put you on the spot now. So have you seen our TV show Hunt for the Tasmanian Tiger?
I haven't yet, because my Foxtel got cancelled.
Oh, no.
2 months before. And it took a long time for it to come back. And I don't even think that the channel was on.
Animal Planet. Yeah.
Oh.
Do you know how to get BitTorrents, mate?
What?
He's advocating the use of illegal pirating software.
BitTorrent, B-I-T.
I'm okay with that because pirates have beards.
That's right. Pirates have beards.
I can't advocate the use of any illegal downloading software because I only back up for personal use from my DVD collection. I never pirate software, but rumour has it that there is a version of it out there in the interwebs on the YouTube somewhere, isn't there, Warren?
Yeah, so he was on YouTube for about 4 seconds until he threatened to sue everybody, which worked really well. But if you go to some of the those places that I've heard about, that friend of Chris's friend told us about, a BitTorrent site, that's BITTORRENT, a couple of the famous ones you might be able to see, Hunt for the Tasmanian Tiger, Season 1, Episode 1 and 2 on there, allegedly.
Do you guys have it on DVD, by any chance?
No, we don't
We
have
don't,
it on DVD.
unfortunately.
That would make it so much easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you guys having a second season?
We're in discussion. That's all we can say so far. But
I kept on reading online. You guys were cancelled after season 1. That's what people were saying.
Don't believe everything you read, mate. You should you should know that. So there was no cancellation.
Well, I hope one day I hope to research with you guys on the Thylacine. I can learn some stuff about the Thylacine I don't even know of yet. I don't know much on the Thylacine personally. I've barely done any research on that. Just from what I can see on the web. Not done any field research.
We'll be happy to have you, Jack. That's the clink of the second beverage finish, which is usually the bell for an hour's podcast. So guys, I'd like to thank Jack for his humour and his ability to sort of articulate his sort of findings, and just thank him for having him on, and wish him all the best for his research and also his upcoming conference.
Thanks for having me, guys. I've loved every second of it, talking to you guys. Thanks for having me on it.
Pleasure, mate. Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate. See you
All right.
later.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.